of Aboriginals to the Europe, the islands from Hispaniola. So when you see Hispaniola and what took place, um, check the witness of what took place in Hispaniola. So Hispaniola, we see here, as we have said, the island of Hispaniola was the first to witness the arrival of Europeans and the first to suffer the wholesale slaughter of its people and devastation of the population. When we see now Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and we can see how this island of Hispaniola was been divided by two conquerors, the French and the Spanish. Now how the Aboriginals of the land of Hispaniola see themselves as being different when you look at the Haitians and the Dominicans due to the Spanish influence of white supremacy, right? But understand here what they did when they came here. They forced their way into the native settlements, slaughtering everyone they found there, including small children, old women, pregnant women, and even women who had just given birth. When you understand the curses of Deuteronomy 28, so when you look at Hispaniola and what took place in Haiti, in the Dominican Republic, still to this day, when you look at the populations and how you see, especially dealing with the Dominican Republic, this admixture of Spanish, these Espanzas, these Spaniards who colonized, this is what they did. They forced their way into the native settlements, including small children, old women, pregnant women, even women who had just given birth. They hacked them into pieces, slicing open their bellies with their swords. It says they even laid wagers to whether they could manage to slice a man into two at a stroke. Understand, when we look at this, it says here they even laid wagers on whether they could manage to slice a man in two, right, to dismember. It says with a single blow of their axes, they grabbed suckling infants by the feet and ripping them from their mother's breast, dashed them headlong against the rocks. So when you see in Psalms 137, and the scriptures say about the children of Edom and how they came and entered into Jerusalem and said, raise it, the foundations, is showing you here the prophecy. Now this prophecy has been shown as well as in India when you look at the walls of the banyan tree and Angkor Wat and a lot of this information. But understand this, the curses of Deuteronomy were applied. When you look at these curses of Deuteronomy, the taking of the resources, your ox shall not be yours, and the stealing of your wife and watching your wife lay down with another man before thy eyes, this is what was taking place. These men, they were sleeping with these men's wives in front of them, taking their resources, taking over their land. Understand, these lands were rich. When you look at the islands of Puerto Rico and Jamaica, these are rich. And the Spanish, the same purpose in mind they had. When we look at these curses of Deuteronomy and the destruction of the Indies and what took place, you know what I'm saying? When you look here at how they tortured, right? So understand, the keeping of the commandments and statutes is more than just the 10 commandments. See, they had to disconnect them from their worship of nature and their dependency to make them dependent upon this coin system, this trade system that they could. The Indies became mixed, right, from these Spaniard conquistadors. It says one woman determined what the dog should not tear to pieces, tied her child to her leg and hanged herself from a beam. So this woman not want this fear of these conquerors coming into our lands that have now made it and had children, and now these children call themselves Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, Mexicans, and now hold the titles over the Aboriginal people, the melanated inhabitants, the original inhabitants who had to kill their own children just so that they wouldn't suffer at the hands of the Spaniards. Now this took place in the Yucatan. I understand that Gaspar Yanga, he was one of the first to rebel against these powers in 1570 and establish a Maroon colony. So when we look at the Maroon colonies and how they survived, so since we no longer keep our Aboriginal practices, we now require commerce to exchange our goods for food. It says all those captured, pregnant women, mother of newborn babies, children, and old men were thrown into pits and impaled alive. So understand this fear that was placed upon these Aboriginals here in this region of when these crossings took place of the finding of the New World, this age of discovery. So when they talk about this discovery of the Americas,